Gregory Leavitt fixed his tie as the makeup person put some powder on his face. As the main speaker for all humans in space, he did many live talks, but today felt different. The red light on the camera turned on. Millions of people on Earth and in space colonies would soon be watching him. "We are back with Gregory Leavitt," said Diane Kelly, a news reporter known for asking hard questions that made many leaders nervous. "Mr. Leavitt, before our break, you were talking about the big meeting at Arcturus. But our viewers want to know something else. In your recent talk at the United Nations, you mentioned Pope Robert Prevost when talking about the strange objects found on Europa. Can you tell us more about that?" Leavitt kept his face calm, but his heart beat faster. This question was not on the list they had agreed to talk about. His team had spent months carefully controlling what people knew about the Europa findings. Talking about the Pope was a planned risk but needed to get people ready for what was coming. "Yes, Diane. Pope Prevost has helped us think about what these findings mean. What we found under the ice on Europa is not just new tools or machines. It shows us something that changes how we see our place in space." "Are you saying the Vatican has been part of secret space work?" Diane moved closer, feeling she might learn something big. Leavitt took a deep breath. "What I am about to share has not been told to the public until now. The objects have marks on them that look just like old religious signs from Earth, including early Christian signs from before the church even started. Pope Prevost saw what they meant right away. The TV studio got very quiet. Off to the side, a showrunner made wild hand signs, but Diane did not look at him. She was too busy listening to Leavitt calmly share what was clearly big news. "The proof suggests," Leavitt went on, "that something or someone shaped both human religion and left things on Europa. Pope Prevost let us look at locked Vatican records that showed links we would not have found on our own." As Leavitt spoke, workers at Space Command Base were already dealing with many alarm messages. What he said would change humans forever. The Repan. Next day, news about Leavitt's words was everywhere. People in towns and cities talked about little else. Some were scared, some were excited, and some did not believe it at all. "He must be crazy," said Joe Barnes, a store worker in Iowa. "Aliens did not make our religions, that's just silly." But others were not so sure. Linda Hayes, a teacher in Florida, watched the talk with her class of 10-year-olds. "The kids ask such good questions," she said. "They want to know if the Pope has seen aliens, if we can go to Europa, if the things found there can do magic." TV. Experts talked all day about what it all meant. Some said Leavitt should be fired for sharing secrets. Others said people had a right to know. At the White House, the president met with his top helpers. "We need to get ahead of this," he said. "Get me Leavitt on the phone." In Rome, Pope Prevost sat in his study looking at old books. His phone had not stopped ringing since the talk aired. Other religious leaders wanted to know what he knew. Was it true? Had the Vatican kept secrets about visitors from space? The Pope looked at a picture on his desk, one not seen by the public. It showed a stone found in a cave in Israel, over 2,000 years old. On it was a mark, a swirl with dots that looked just like the main mark on the Europa objects. Not kind of like it. Exactly like it. "It is time they knew," the Pope said to his empty room. At NASA, Dr. Susan Ward led a team looking at the Europa findings. They worked in a room with no windows and guards at the door. On screens around them were pictures of the strange metal objects found deep under the ice of the moon. "Leavitt said too much," said Dr. Ward's helper, Paul Green. "Now everyone will want to see these things." Dr. Ward shook her head. "No, he said too little. He did not tell them that the objects are still giving off power after what must be thousands of years. He did not tell them that we think the same visitors came to Earth many times, and he did not tell them the most important thing." "What's that?" asked Paul. "The objects have a clock on them, a counting down clock, and it's almost at 0. In space on the Europa base, 5 workers kept watch over the dig site where the objects had been found. More were still being brought, up from the ice each day. Lisa Connor, the team leader, wrote in her log, "Day 156. The big piece we call the egg started to make sounds today, like a bell, but inside your head. Not in your ears. Jin said she felt it asking to be taken to Earth. I told her that was crazy talk. But then I felt it too. Back on Earth, Gregory Leavitt sat in his home, the lights off. His phone had been turned off. His work email box was full. He knew he had started something that could not be stopped. His home phone rang. One of the few people who had that number was the president. "Yes, sir," Leavitt said when he picked up. "You went off plan," said the voice of the most powerful man on Earth. "Yes, sir, I did, but you know why." There was a long pause. "The clock?" "Yes. We're almost out of time. They're coming back, sir. The ones who left the objects. The ones who taught us to look up at the stars. The ones who gave us the idea of gods. And the Pope? Why bring him into this? Because we need him. When they come, people will be scared. They will look to their religious leaders. We need the Pope and others to help keep people calm. Do you really think that will work?" Leavitt looked out his window at the night sky. "I don't know. But I do know that what happens next will change us all. And sir, there's one more thing the team found out today." "What's that?" "The objects are not just a message. They're a key to turn on something much bigger that's been waiting for us. Something hidden on the far side of Europa, some kind of ship." 1 week after Leavitt's big TV talk, the world was still buzzing. News screens everywhere showed pictures of Europa, the ice moon where the strange objects were found. They showed old drawings from churches that looked just like marks on the space objects. They showed Pope Prevost going into meetings with world leaders. Dr. Susan Ward sat in a room deep under a mountain in Colorado. Around her, 20 of the smartest people on Earth looked at screens and talked in low, worried voices. "The clock is still counting down," said Paul Green, looking at a live feed from Europa base. 3 days, 4 hours left. Dr. Ward rubbed her tired eyes. She had not slept well in days. "And the egg? Any more sounds?" Paul shook his head. "No, it's quiet now, but the energy coming from it keeps getting stronger." The door opened and a tall man in a plain black suit walked in. Everyone knew who he was right away. Gregory Leavitt. Looked much older than he had on TV just a week ago. "Dr. Ward," he said with a tired smile. "The president sent me to see how things are going." Dr. Ward stood up. "As well as can be expected when the world might end in 3 days." "We don't know," said Leavitt. "The clock could mean many things." "Like what?" asked Dr. Ward. "Like the start of something new," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Pope Prevost walking in, helped by a young priest. The Pope was old and walked with a cane, but his eyes were sharp and clear. "Your Holiness," said Leavitt, giving a small bow. "I didn't know you were coming." "Some things must be seen in person," said the Pope. "I need to see these objects myself." "They're on Europa," said Dr. Ward. "We only have pictures and the small pieces we've brought back." "Then show me those," said the Pope. They walked to a room next door. Inside, in a clear case, sat 3 small metal pieces. They looked like parts of a puzzle with strange marks all over them. They had a color that seemed to change as you looked at them, sometimes silver, sometimes blue, sometimes a color no one could name. "May I touch them?" asked the Pope. "No one can," said Dr. Ward. "The case has to stay closed. The air here would damage them." The Pope nodded and put his hand on the case. He closed his eyes. "What's he doing?" Paul whispered to Leavitt. "Praying, I think," said Leavitt. But then something strange happened. The pieces in the case began to glow. A soft light came from them, growing brighter. "That's never happened before," said Dr. Ward, her eyes wide. The Pope opened his eyes and stepped back. "They know me," he said simply. "What do you mean?" asked Leavitt. "They know what I stand for. Faith. They were left by beings who helped shape our faiths, yes?" Dr. Ward nodded slowly. "That's what we think. The marks match too many old religious signs to be chance." "Not chance," said the Pope. "Plan. They had a plan for us." Just then a phone rang. Paul picked it up, listened, and his face went white. "Europa base is calling. The egg just opened." "On Europa, Lisa Connor and her team stood around the egg. It was a big metal object, shaped like an egg but with flat sides. It had been closed tight when they found it. Now a line of light ran around its middle and the top half had lifted a bit. "Should we open it the rest of the way?" asked Jin, Lisa's helper. "Wait for orders," said Lisa. She had told Earth about the opening, and now they all waited to hear what to do. The radio crackled. "Europa base, this is Control. The Pope is here with Dr. Ward and Leavitt. They say to open the egg all the way." Lisa took a deep breath. "Okay, Jin, let's do it." They used tools to lift the top half of the egg. Inside was something that made them all step back. "Control," said Lisa into her radio. "You need to see this." Inside the egg was a small model of our solar system, the sun, the planets, the moons, all made of the same strange metal as the egg itself. But there was something wrong with the model. A new planet hung between Mars and Jupiter where only rocks float now. And Earth had 2 moons, not 1. "It's showing the past," said Jin. "How things used to be." But then the model began to move. The planet spun around the sun, faster and faster. It was showing time passing. And as they watched, the extra planet broke apart, becoming the rocks that float there now. One big piece of it hit one of Earth's moons, breaking it apart too. Rocks fell to Earth. "It's showing what happened," said Lisa. "A disaster. Long ago." The model kept moving, showing more time passing. Then, small lights appeared, moving from far away toward our solar system. The lights landed on Earth, on Mars, on Europa. Where they landed on the model, small marks appeared. The same marks that were on the egg and the other objects. "They came to help," said Jin. "After the disaster." The model stopped moving. Then, new lights appeared at the edge of the solar system. Different lights, red and sharp. These moved toward Earth too, but slower. "Control, are you seeing this?" asked Lisa. Back on Earth, everyone in the room watched the video from Europa. No one spoke as they saw the model show its story. "Those new lights," said the Pope finally. "Those are not the same visitors, are they?" "No," said Dr. Ward. "I don't think so. I think the clock is counting down to when those red lights arrive." "Then, we have 3 days to get ready," said Leavitt. "We need to tell people what's coming." "And what is coming?" asked the Pope. Dr. Ward looked at the screen, at the red lights slowly moving toward Earth in the model. "I think," she said slowly, "that long ago, something bad happened in our solar system. A planet broke apart. The piece that hit our second moon sent rocks falling to Earth. Maybe that's what killed the dinosaurs." "And then?" asked Leavitt. "And then some beings came to help. They visited early humans. They taught them things. They left signs. They left these objects on Europa as a record and a warning." "A warning about those red lights," said the Pope. "About someone else coming. Not to help, but to take," said Dr. Ward. "To take what they helped us build." "We need to call the world's leaders," said Leavitt. "Right now." As they talked, the egg on Europa began to glow brighter. The radio crackled again. "Control," said Lisa's voice, now sounding scared. "The egg is doing something else. It's sending out a signal, a strong one. Like it's calling to someone, or warning someone," said Jin's voice in the background. 3 days, said the Pope, looking out a small window at the sky. 3 days to prepare for visitors. But which ones will get here first? The ones who helped us, or the ones who want to take from us? No one had an answer. The clock kept counting down. 2 days before the clock would reach 0, the world's leaders met in a big room at the United Nations building in New York. Gregory Leavitt stood at the front, next to a screen showing pictures from Europa. Pope Prevost sat nearby, looking tired but calm. "We have called you all here because we face something that affects every nation, every person on Earth," said Leavitt. "As you now know, we found objects on Europa that were left there by visitors from space." A man stood up. He was the leader of Russia. "How do we know these objects are not a trick? Maybe they were put there by the Americans or the Chinese." "Objects are made of metal we cannot make," said Dr. Ward, who stood next to Leavitt, "and they are very, very old. They were buried deep in the ice in layers that are millions of years old." The marks on them match old religious signs from Earth, added the Pope. Signs from many faiths, not just one. Signs that were made thousands of years apart in places that had no contact with each other. Another leader stood up, from a country in Africa. What does the clock count down to? Are we in danger? Leavitt took a deep breath. We think Earth will soon have visitors. The model inside the egg, which you've all seen videos of, shows two kinds of visitors coming to our solar system. The first kind came long ago after a disaster in space. They seem to have helped early humans. And the second kind? Asked a woman leader from South America. They are shown as red lights, moving toward Earth now, said Leavitt. We don't know if they come as friends or not. But you think they are not friends, said the leader of Japan. Dr. Ward stepped forward. The first visitors left us warnings and tools. Why warn us if the new visitors are friends? The room got very quiet. Then the Chinese leader spoke. What can we do? If people from space want to hurt us, how can we fight them? They must be far stronger than us. The egg sent out a signal, said Leavitt. We think it was calling to the first visitors, the ones who helped us before. So we wait for help? Asked the Russian leader, like scared children. The Pope shook his head. No, the objects were left to warn us, but also to help us help ourselves. Dr. Ward pressed a button, and the screen showed a new picture. It was a round metal plate covered in strange marks. This was inside the egg too, she said. We think it's a map. It shows where other objects are hidden on Earth. More eggs? Asked someone. No, said Dr. Ward. We think they are parts to build something that might help us if the red light visitors are not friendly. You think they left us weapons? Asked the Russian leader, now looking more interested. Maybe, said Leavitt. Or tools we could use to make weapons. We need to find these hidden objects fast. How can we help? Asked the leader of India. The map shows 16 places where objects are hidden, said Dr. Ward. They are all over the world in many different countries. We need your help to find them. As the meeting went on, teams were already being sent to look for the hidden objects. One team went to a place deep in the Amazon jungle. Another went to a cave in China. Others went to a lake in Russia, a mountain in Africa, an island in the Pacific. On the other side of the world, Lisa Connor and her team on Europa kept watching. The egg. It had stopped glowing but was now making a low sound like a song with no words. It's been doing that for 6 hours, Lisa told Dr. Ward over the radio. And the other objects we've found are doing it too. Any new changes to the model inside? Asked Dr. Ward. Yes, said Lisa. The red lights are moving faster now, and there are more of them. Back at the United Nations, the world's leaders had agreed to work together. It was the first time in history that every country agreed to join forces without any fighting. We need to tell the public, said the leader of France. They deserve to know what's coming. Agreed, said Leavitt. But we need to be careful how we say it. We don't want people to panic. The Pope spoke up. Let me help with this. People look to their faith in hard times. All religious leaders can help keep people calm. Just then, Leavitt's phone rang. He answered it, listened, and his face turned white. What is it? Asked the Pope. The team in Egypt, said Leavitt. They found one of the hidden objects. It was under the Sphinx. That's good news, isn't it? Asked the leader of Egypt. Yes and no, said Leavitt. The object is big, much bigger than we thought. And it's waking up. On a small screen, Leavitt showed them all a video from Egypt. Under the Sphinx, in a room no one knew was there, sat a giant metal shape. It looked like a sleeping person, but it was made of the same strange metal as the egg. As they watched, the metal figure moved. Its eyes opened, showing lights inside. It's some kind of robot, said Dr. Ward, or a suit for someone to wear. There's more, said Leavitt. The team in China found another one, and the team in Russia. They're all waking up. 16 giant metal people, said the Pope. One for each place on the map. Not people, said Dr. Ward. Tools, weapons. The first visitors left them for us to use. But how? asked the leader of Brazil. How do we use them? No one had an answer. But then Leavitt's phone rang again. It was the team from the Amazon. The object here has writing on it, said a voice over the phone. Not just marks, but words. In many languages. One is Latin. We need a translator. The Pope took the phone. I know Latin, he said. Tell me what it says. The voice read out strange words, and the Pope listened closely. It says, the Pope told everyone after a while, the guides await the chosen. One mind to each guide. Only the pure can join. What does that mean? Asked the leader of Japan. I think, said Dr. Ward slowly, that these metal figures, these guides, need people to control them. One person for each guide. How do we choose these people? Asked the leader of India. The Pope looked at the words again. Only the pure can join. I think the guides will choose who can use them. Just then, all the phones in the room rang at once. On the big screen, a message appeared. It came from all the teams around the world at the same time. The guides are all moving, read the message. They're all pointing at the sky. Outside, people looked up and saw something new in the sky. A light brighter than any star, growing bigger. The clock on the egg now showed less than 1 day left. The light in the sky grew bigger through the night. By morning, people could see it was not just one light, but many lights moving together. News shows all talked about the same thing. Visitors from space were coming to Earth. Some people were scared. Some were happy. Many went to churches, temples, and mosques to pray. In New York, outside the United Nations building, big crowds stood looking up at the sky. Inside the building, Gregory Leavitt, Dr. Ward, Pope Prevost, and the world leaders watched live videos from all 16 places where the guides had been found. Each guide was a big metal figure like a giant person made of the strange color-changing metal. Each one stood now, no longer sleeping, pointing at the sky. We have less than 12 hours before the clock reaches 0, said Dr. Ward. We still don't know how to use the guides. Have all the writings been read? Asked Leavitt. Yes, said the Pope. They all say the same thing. The guides await the chosen. One mind to each guide. Only the pure can join. What does pure mean? Asked the leader of China. Pure in body? In spirit? No one had an answer. Then the leader of a small country in Africa spoke up. In my village, when I was a boy, our wise woman used to say that children see the world most clearly because their minds are pure. They have not yet learned to lie to themselves. Children? Said the Russian leader. You think we should send children to fight space people? No, said Dr. Ward slowly. But maybe people who think like children. People who see clearly. People who are honest with themselves and others. Good people, said the Pope. That's what all faiths teach. To be good, to be true, to be kind. We need to test this, said Leavitt. We need to see if good people can connect with the guides. They sent word to all 16 teams. Bring good people to the guides. Bring people who are known for being honest, kind, and brave. Bring people who put others first. At the guide in Egypt, a young woman named Nadia was the first to try. She was a doctor who worked in poor areas for no money. She helped everyone, no matter who they were. Just stand in front of the guide, the team leader told her. See if anything happens. Nadia stood before the metal giant. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the guide moved. It looked down at her. Its eyes glowed brighter. Then it knelt down and held out its hand. I think it wants me to climb on, said Nadia. Are you sure? Asked the team leader. It might not be safe. I'm sure, said Nadia. She stepped onto the guide's hand. The metal giant lifted her up and opened its chest. Inside was a space shaped like a person. Nadia looked at it and knew what to do. She stepped inside, and the chest closed around her. For a moment, there was silence. Then the guide stood up tall with Nadia inside it. Can you hear me? Called the team leader. Yes, said Nadia, her voice coming from the guide itself. And I can feel everything. The guide is part of me now, or I'm part of it. I can move it just by thinking. The same thing was happening at all 16 places around the world. In China, an old teacher who had saved many lives during a flood joined with a guide. In Brazil, a young man who had planted 1,000,000 trees joined with another. In Russia, a woman who ran an animal shelter joined with a third. 16 good people, from all walks of life all around the world, became one with the guides. At the United Nations, everyone watched the videos with amazement. "They're bonding with the guides," said Dr. Ward. "But what can the guides do? How can they help us?" As if in answer, all 16 guides began to rise into the air. They could fly without wings or engines. They flew up higher and higher until they were above the clouds. "They're going to meet the visitors," said the Pope. "Our chosen ones are our first greeting to these space people." "But which space people?" asked Leavitt. "The good ones or the bad ones? The ones who left the guides or the red lights?" The clock on the egg now showed less than 6 hours. On Europa, Lisa, Connor, and Jin watched their screens as the egg began to change again. The model inside it showed the red lights very close to Earth now. But new lights had appeared too. Green ones, coming from another direction. "Two kinds of visitors," said Jin, "both coming at the same time." "Look," said Lisa, pointing at the screen. "The guides are in the model now too." 16 small figures had appeared in the model, moving up from Earth toward the lights in space. Back on Earth, all normal TV shows had stopped. Every channel showed the same thing: views of the sky, of the growing lights, and of the guides flying up to meet them. In Egypt, Nadia's family watched a screen showing a small dot that was her guide, flying toward the visitors. "What if they hurt her?" asked her mother, crying. "The guides were left to help us," said her father. "They must have a way to keep our people safe." High above Earth, Nadia flew in her guide. She could feel its power. It was like nothing on Earth. She knew without being told that she could make the guide fight if needed, but she hoped it would not come to that. The other 15 guides flew with her, spread out around the world but talking to each other through the guides themselves. They all felt the same thing, a mix of fear and hope. "The visitors are slowing down," said the guide from China. "They're stopping just outside Earth's moon." The 16 guides formed a line, a wall of metal giants between Earth and the coming visitors. "I can see them clearly now," said Nadia. "There are 2 groups, coming from different places. One group has ships that glow red. They look sharp with many points. The other group has round ships that glow green. The red ones are moving faster," said the guide from Brazil. "They will get here first." The clock on the egg showed just 3 hours left when the first red ship reached the line of guides. It was huge, much bigger than a guide. It looked like a giant crystal with many sharp points. It glowed with an angry red light. Inside her guide, Nadia felt afraid, but the guide itself seemed to know what to do. It raised its hand toward the red ship. All 16 guides did the same thing at the same time. They raised their hands toward Dion. The red ships and beams of bright white light shot out from their palms. The first red ship stopped moving. Then slowly it began to break apart, falling into small pieces that floated away in space. The other red ships stopped coming closer. "We can fight them," said Nadia to the other guides. "The ones who left these guides for us knew the red visitors would be bad. They gave us a way to stop them." "But we are only 16, said the guide from Russia. "And I count hundreds of red ships." "Then we need help," said Nadia. "We need the green ships to get here fast." As if hearing her words, the green ships suddenly sped up, racing toward Earth. The clock on the egg now showed just 2 hours left. The fight for Earth was about to begin. The red ships moved toward the 16 guides. There were hundreds of them, all sharp and angry looking. The guides formed a line protecting Earth. "We need to hold them back until the green ships get here," said Nadia through her guide. "We can do this," said the guide from Brazil. "Remember why we were chosen. We don't give up." The red ships fired first. Beams of red light shot at the guides. Some guides were hit and pushed back, but none were broken. The metal of the guides was strong. "Our turn," said Nadia. All 16 guides fired back. White beams shot from their hands, hitting many red ships. Some ships broke apart. Others kept coming. On Earth, everyone watched the fight on screens. They could see small flashes of light in the sky. Each flash was a shot fired, a ship hit, a guide in danger. "Why do the red ships want to hurt us?" asked the leader of Japan at the United Nations meeting. "The model in the egg shows they take things," said Dr. Ward. "Maybe they take whole worlds. Maybe they have taken many worlds before ours." The Pope looked at the screens showing the battle. "And the ones who left? Us, the guides, the ones in the green ships, they try to stop the red ships when they can?" "That's what we think," said Leavitt. "The first visitors try to save worlds from the red ships. They left us the guides because they knew the red ships would find us one day." High above Earth, the fight got worse. 3 guides had been hit badly and could not fight well. The others fought harder to make up for it. "There are too many," said the guide from Russia. "We cannot stop them all." Just then, the first green ship reached them. It was big and round like a ball of green light. It moved between the guides and the red ships, and a green shield spread out from it, stopping the red beams. More green ships arrived. Dozens, then hundreds. They formed a wall with the guides, all facing the red ships. A voice spoke in the minds of all 16 guide pilots. It was not in any Earth language, but somehow they all understood it. "We are the Watchers," the voice said. "We have returned as promised. You have done well, young ones. You have used our gifts wisely." "Who are they?" asked the guide from China, meaning the red ships. "They are the Takers," said the voice. "They find worlds with life, with minds, and they take all. They take the people, the animals, the plants. They take the water and the air. They leave only empty rocks behind." "Why do they do this?" asked Nadia. "They do not build," said the voice. "They only take. It is their way since time began. We have fought them across many stars. And now the fight has come to Earth," said the guide from Brazil. "Yes," said the voice. "We knew it would. We left the guide so you could join this fight when the time came. And now we fight together." The green ships and the guides attacked the red ships, all at once. Green and white beams crossed the space around Earth. Many red ships broke apart. But the red ships kept coming. More and more arrived. On Earth, the clock on the egg reached 0. When it did, something new happened. The egg itself broke apart, and from inside came a bright light that shot up into the sky. "What's happening?" asked Leavitt, watching from the United Nations. "The egg was more than a warning," said Dr. Ward. "It was a weapon, too, the biggest weapon of all." The light from the egg flew up, past the guides, past the green ships, straight into the middle of the red ships. There it grew bigger and bigger, becoming a ball of white light as big as the moon. Then it exploded. The light washed over all the ships, both red and green. When it touched the red ships, they stopped moving. Many broke apart. Others turned away, flying back the way they had come. But the green ships and the guides were not hurt. The light passed over them like a gentle wave. "The Watchers knew the Takers would come with too many ships for us to fight," said the voice in the guides' minds. "The egg was our last gift, a light that hurts only those who come to take, not those who come to help." In space, the red ships were leaving fast now. Some were broken, some were running away. The green ships let them go. "Will they come back?" asked Nadia. "Not to your world," said the voice. "The light from the egg has marked Earth. The Takers will see the mark and stay away. They know our light now." "And you?" asked the guide from Russia. "Will you stay?" "For a time," said the voice. "We have much to share with you now that you have joined the fight. Your people have shown they are ready." The guides and the green ships flew back toward Earth. As they got closer, people could see them better. The green ships were beautiful, smooth and round, glowing with friendly light. At the United Nations, everyone cheered as the screen showed the red ships leaving and the green ships coming closer. "We did it," said Leavitt. "Earth is safe." "For now," said Dr. Ward. "But the Watchers said we have joined the fight. I think this is just the start." "The start of something big," said the Pope. "Something that will change us all." The first green, Ship landed in a field near the United Nations building. It was bigger up close, as big as a house. The 16 guides landed around it, forming a circle. The world watched on screens as a door opened in the green ship. Light poured out, bright, but not hurting the eyes. And in the light, shapes moved. The Watchers were coming out to meet the people of Earth. Nadia and the other 15 chosen ones stepped out of their guides. They stood together, waiting to greet the visitors who had saved them long ago and again today. "Do we know what they look like?" asked the leader of India. "No," said Leavitt. "The egg never showed us." From the green ship came 3 tall figures. They were made of light that shifted and moved, never staying in one shape for long. They had no solid form that human eyes could understand well, but they felt friendly. Everyone who saw them, even just on screens, felt calm and happy. "People of Earth," said the figures, speaking so everyone could hear no matter what language they knew. "Today you have shown your worth. You found our guides. You chose good hearts to join with them. You stood against the takers. You saved us," said Leavitt, who had come out to meet them. "No," said the figures. "You saved yourselves with tools we left. That was the test." "Test?" asked the Pope, who stood next to Leavitt. "Yes. We find worlds with promise. We leave them tools and warnings. We watch to see if they use these gifts wisely when the time comes. Many worlds fail. They fight over the gifts. They use them against each other. They are not ready." "But we passed the test," said Dr. Ward. "You did," said the figures. "And now, you will join us. Earth will be part of something greater. A group of worlds that help each other. A force that stands against the takers. We are not alone in the universe," said the Pope. "You never were," said the figures. "And you never will be again." As the sun set on that amazing day, the people of Earth knew that everything had changed. They had faced a great danger. They had found new friends among the stars. And they had learned that humans could be better, braver, and stronger than they had ever known. The guides stood tall around the green ship, 16 metal giants that had helped save the world. And inside the ship, the talks began that would bring Earth into a new age, an age of wonders, an age of peace, an age of reaching for the stars not with fear but with hope.